Hello, and welcome to Troy Story. My name is Katerina Cervantes, and in today's episode, we will be discussing with some on campus business owners about their businesses and why they started. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. You guys can say your name and the name of your business, what your business does. And then if you want to give yourself like a little shout out, you can say like where we can find you on Instagram or your website.
Okay, I guess I'll go first. Hi, everyone. My name is Jade Bong. I'm a junior at Troy High School, and my small business is called the Daily Daisy Project, which is at Daily Daisy Project on Instagram. And I basically sell my handmade jewelry, rings, necklaces, bracelets, mask straps, and I donate all of my profits to COVID-19 response efforts at a nonprofit organization called Get Us PPE.
Hello, my name is Andrea Nguyen. I'm currently a senior at Troy High School, and I don't really have a business per se, but I more so pursue like freelance photography, which can be paid. And so with my freelance photography, whether I take pictures for school dances, different events like senior portraits, I do donate that money and I also use it for myself.
So if you guys want to talk about like what inspired you guys to start, what inspired Jade to start your business and what inspired you to start your freelance photography, Andrea?
Okay, so how I started my business it was like a mixture of boredom and feeling unmotivated and feeling trapped because it was, the pandemic and we were out of school, like everything was getting canceled and I was just so like sad all the time. And then I took on this new hobby of making daisy chain bracelets and I was like, how can I make sure that I have a purpose in life and how can I make sure that my purpose is to, help people? And so I found Get Us PPE and I started to donate and sell to my community.
For me, I have always kind of been doing photography. I kind of got into it at 8th grade freshman year. And just like my love for photography kind of started branching out into, trying to meet new people and trying to just shoot more and more. And eventually just building my skill, people have come to me and asked me to do things for them. And so that kind of is how it started. And then now that I'm more serious about it and I kind of know what I'm doing a little bit more, I'm more like promoting myself through like Instagram or through my website.
So obviously, Jade, you talked about donating your money, but what do you guys intend to do with your money? Or if you do donate, like, how have you selected where you're going to donate to?
So I actually had to do a lot of research because I was like responsible for, you know, handling a lot of money and then I wanted to make sure that it had the most efficient impact as possible and especially during like April 2020 or May 2020 when I was planning on donating, there was a lot of controversy about like big organizations and that they didn't use their money for actual donating purposes. They just use it to like publicize or like they took the money. So I was really worried about that. So I was always researching and I took a lot of recommendations from people and essentially I chose Get Us PPE because it wasn't that big of an organization yet, but there was a lot of clarity in the process and they outlined like the exact steps as to where the money was going, what else was needed from like us. And so I felt like there was just like a clear connection that they established between the donators and the impact that we were creating.
Yeah, so for me, I don't really donate the money like I do when I have extra, just from different shoots and like different clients and stuff. But the majority of the money that like specifically comes from my photography is put back into my photography, whether that be putting in new equipment or like gas and transportation. I feel like, at least for me, I think my freelance photography is not, I don't think of it as much of a job as something to build myself up and build a portfolio and do it for myself. So I feel like sometimes I am undercharging because I feel like, my work and all the hours I put in, whether it be taking photos or like editing, um, you know, isn't the money doesn't matter to me as much. And so a lot of it is for myself and a lot of it just goes back into my photography to make it better.
So honorable. Wow, you guys are so cool. So what are some challenges that you guys have overcome starting your business? and what has helped you grow?
So yeah, like just like what Andrea said, it's hard to be a high schooler with like no experience and no connections, and then also trying to choose a step like a price point where people are willing to pay, even if we don't have like the experience to back it up, you know? So it was pretty difficult trying to bring in donations while also not spending so much of my own personal money, because that would be a deficit on my side. In the beginning, especially, it was really difficult to reach a wider Instagram community. I was like always DMing people. I was always sending out a lot of PR packages, and that ended up costing me a lot more time and more money on my side than was necessary. But thanks to like a lot of really kind people from like all over the nation, I was able to, grow my small business, get a lot of promotion. Yeah.
Well, Jade, you're so cool. You're so cool. Like wow. Unlike Jade, I only have myself and my skill. I don't really have a physical product like she does. And I find it so cool that like she's able to, kind of like what we're learning in econ right now is like the supply and demand curve, and I don't know. Anyways, like it's so hard finding a balance between, people wanting your product and like having enough to like donate, you know what I mean? Because like you have like all your expenses and stuff like that. So I find like it's so cool. For me, it's just my time. Um, and so I think some of the setbacks that I personally had to encounter is a lot more mental and a lot more like um just like within myself, like whether that be just finding the motivation to go out and shoot, especially right now during this time is so hard because like you can't really meet with people and you can't really do the things that you really want to do, especially like what I want to do with the camera. And so yeah, like that part is just like the creative block and like wanting to just continue to be creative and continue to grow as a photographer. And then also just like feeling like you're worthy of like putting your work out there, because I think you are like, no matter what it be, whether it be photography or whether it be like anything, you are your harshest critic. So it's sometimes like, oh yeah, like is my photography even good to be like good enough to be charging for, or is like my photography good enough to even be posting on the internet, because there are so many other photographers nowadays. And um it's just kind of daunting, just to get yourself out there, because yeah, photography is such a, I think, like subjective thing. And so people are really like, you have to kind of appeal to your client base, yet you have to be self-assured because you have to like formulate your style. So I think for me it's just like the confidence thing and just wanting to put myself out there.
Yeah, I have to agree with Andrea on that point too. Like there's always kind of a sense of imposter syndrome, I feel like. Especially, I don't know if it's a thing that comes with age or not, but just seeing all the other photographers and all the other small businesses like doing so much better than you, it's like it gives me hope, because like I sometimes think, oh, what if I'm like that one day? But then it's also like, wow, they're so much better than me, you know? It kind of makes me compare. And yeah, so confidence, I agree with Andrea, it's a very big part.
I definitely don't think that either of you should have imposter syndrome because, in my opinion, I think that you guys are both really successful and really talented. But speaking about successes, are there any successes or goals that you guys have achieved or reached that you want to talk about or share and how you got there?
So basically like my like successes that happened like within my freelance kind of business or whatever has been more personal rather than just like commercial. Since I'm not really doing it for the money, I'm doing it more for the experience and to grow my portfolio. I think one of my biggest like accomplishments has to be like my series presence, and it's a series where I kind of create different shoots that represent different topics that are important to me and important to the people around me, in order to not only like express like my voice and my feelings through the camera, but to hopefully highlight and empathize with others. Like my first I guess, what is it called, series, not series because the whole thing is a series, but my first shoot was called Asphyxiation, and it was about like just like being an Asian American in your community and kind of dealing with the societal pressures and the like in having to conform to, you know, this box that you're put in. And so I kind of based it on like, you know, you're literally drowning in work. And so that's why it was called like asphyxiation. And I'm really proud of how, you know, I was not only using photography as a means to like make money or to, you know, just show something pretty, but using photography as a way to, you know, divulge my own feelings and divulge the feelings of others. And hopefully, you know, expressing, you know, concepts that are deeper and not just, you know, pretty.
Oh yeah, I totally have to agree with that. Andrea, like I'm not gonna lie, I've been stalking your accounts and I've been seeing your photography because it's like so good. It's so good, honestly. Like I think like my freshman year when I first came in, I was like scrolling through my feed and then I was scrolling through my like homepage and all of the like good photos, they always tag you and it's your photos and you know, like I'm like not even ashamed to admit it. I stalk you and your photography, and I'm like in love with it. And like just seeing the progress from like when I was a freshman to like, you know, 3 years later now, I think it's so like amazing that the progress is visible on camera and you're like showing your story more and more. I think that's really cool to see. Yeah. Oh wow, I didn't even answer the question. Sorry. I'll get back on track, Kat. I guess some of my most recent successes have been doing an interview with the organization that I've been donating to. Like I've the director of the organization, Miss Gupta, I think, she's reached out to me and she wanted to do an interview for like the blog. And it was just so gratifying to, you know, feel that people were like noticing my work and you know like that my work was being some kind of impact for the community that the director had made with Get Us PPE. And I think yeah, that was really gratifying and humbling on my part. And I was so thankful for the opportunity to just talk to them. And I guess like my vision for the future, I really want to make Daily Daisy Project a nonprofit organization when I'm 18, which is next year. So I already know what my 18th birthday present is going to be. And hopefully it'll work out until then. So yeah.
You guys are just such incredible people, but I definitely have to second the stalking Andrea's Instagram thing because Andrea has no idea, but I've been stalking her Instagram since we were freshmen. But she probably thinks I'm crazy now. But I guess that you guys both obviously have a lot of success and a lot of responsibilities. So, what would be a responsibility about having a business or just making money in general that not everyone knows?
I guess one is like time. As a high school student, as a Troy student, like time management is one of the most important things in my opinion. And I didn't know this at first, but running a small business takes a lot more time than I expected. Like you have to do all the packaging, all the Instagram managing, and then you have to make orders and take orders and ship it out. And it's like a one person job. So, and then some people don't realize that it's a one person job, so they can get very aggressive sometimes. And you know, yeah, I try to like get everything out in 2 to 3 weeks, but when there's like SATs coming up, when there's math tests coming up, it's really hard to stay on top of the business schedule as well as my school schedule. So yeah, it's a big responsibility to have to balance that, and it takes sometimes a little bit of compromising on either sides. But yeah.
Yeah, I would have to second Jade's point about just like people not understanding that it's a one person job because I think that, you know, especially as a photographer and then I think just as a business owner in general, you have to communicate with a lot of different types of people and a lot of different types like of people come with a lot of different wants, you know, and a lot of different expectations. And especially with photography where things are so subjective and people really just like have a vision of their own, they don't tend to like listen to the photographer necessarily. So like sometimes when I'm dealing with clients, I've had, you know, really bad experiences where I've left in tears because, you know, they were just so rude to me. and just like disrespectful to, my own craft and my own work. Um, and I think that, as a business owner and just like, yeah, just a business owner, you really have to have a really strong sense of self and a strong like sense of self-assurance, because, people can really be mean, because they don't understand that, you're doing everything. Especially on Jay's side, she's doing a lot more than I am. Like, but yeah, like you really have to, I feel like, deal with like learn a lot of customer service and learn a lot of people skills that I don't think people think about a lot.
Right. So obviously, you both have touched on the ups and the downs of owning a business. So I guess, what's your overall takeaway from owning a business? Is this something you intend to keep doing? And I guess, do you have any advice for students who might want to start their own business ventures?
Like the greatest thing that I've taken away from this small business is just the people that I've met and the experiences that I've had, which whether it was personal or whether it was, like an interaction with the wider community. I feel like the people I've met like through social media, I've become friends with like other small businesses. I've been able to talk to influencers, and I've been able to like talk to people in the field already working in the fields that I like maybe want to work in one day. And one person was kind enough to do a job shadow with me. So like those little random experiences that I've had, like they really build up, and they give me like a sense of that they just remind me that all of this is really valuable because it doesn't even have to just stay within the small business. I can kind of create different paths and direct it to wherever I want it to go. And just having a small business is really like good for your creativity because it gives you like the motivation to visualize different concepts, think of different businesses you want to start, think of different things you want to create. And it's just an endless cycle of wanting to create new things. And yeah, it's really fun. And if I have any advice, it would be to just honestly just go for it. Like, even if you're not ready, even if you don't know how to like ship products yet, just really use social media to just get it out there first. Don't care about what other people will say. Other people will always say stuff about you, and you can't control that, but you can control your own mindset and your own confidence levels. So, just go for it.
I definitely like agree with everything that Jade said. Like I think that it's like the people that I've met through photography, and especially the other creatives and just people with different concepts of like just life than you, I feel like supplement your own nature so much. And I've become a more, I think, substantial person through it. Through just meeting so many different people through photography and not experiencing, but just observing different walks of life and different, parts of the world that I never thought that I would have seen without my camera lens. And I think just owning a business in general is just so good to, I don't know, supplement the brain and make you just a more further thinking person. Like you're not just looking at, the first, like your next step. You're looking 10, 20 steps ahead of what you want to do in the future, what you want to pursue, like what your next plan is. And I think that's so beautiful about, like photography, about like owning a small business, and about just kind of doing things for yourself. Yeah.
You both kind of touched on this one in the last one, but is there anything else you want to say to the students? Do you encourage Troy students to start a small business? Why or why not?
I definitely encourage high school students to start their small business because it just gives you like experience into the real world before you actually are like forced to go into the real world. And you kind of like stick your foot in the door and you test out the waters and you experience the ups and the downs, but in a little more minimized way, so it's a bit safer in my opinion. And it's just such a great way to also like get your confidence levels up because if you have a small business, you have a purpose. You have to like manage things, you have to create things. And then receiving feedback from the community is also very gratifying because it shows that people care about your things, whether it's good feedback or bad feedback, and it helps you grow in every way, regardless of whether it's good feedback or bad feedback.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think that, you know, starting a small business and just getting some real life experience is so important, and it makes you like it prepares you so much like for the future. And I know Troy kids just in particular are always thinking about the future, about thinking about college. However, I would just like to say that if you're starting a small business to please somebody else and not do it for yourself, like I don't think you should do it, because I think that doing like starting a small business and doing everything by yourself and kind of thinking about the future in that way, if you're doing it for somebody else and you're doing it for someone's gratification and not your own, then I don't think it's worth it in the end, because you're not going to enjoy it and you're like genuinely doing so much more work than you need to. But like, because I think Jade enjoys it and I think I enjoy it, so like it doesn't feel like work, and it feels like you're fulfilling a part of yourself that you're like a part of yourself that you're searching for. And so like it's just, if you're doing it for yourself, then you should. But if you're doing it just for outside reasons and not fulfilling any part of yourself, or you don't feel like you're going to get any gratification out of it, then I wouldn't.
No, yeah, like adding on to Andrea, like I think that's a really good point, especially for Troy students, because we're always so caught up in like college apps, and we do a lot of like whack activities just to, stand out on college apps. So like my advice is don't do that. If you're doing it for college apps, don't do it, because it'll show that you're not genuinely passionate about it. And yeah, it just won't be fun for you and it won't be fun for them. But if you really like have a passion for this and you think that you have a vision that you can fulfill and it'll be fulfilling to you and help you grow as a person, then totally do it. And in one way or another, like it'll become a story worth telling to someone. So yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for discussing. You guys are both so inspirational. I will let you guys say anything if you have any last commentary, closing statements. But obviously, the students should all go follow you guys on your Instagrams and check out your websites, because you guys both have incredible businesses.
Thank you, Kat.
Yeah, thank you, Kat. Thanks for being such a good host. I feel like your questions were very like thought-provoking and insightful, and I really did, enjoy talking about my photography, even though I definitely don't do as much as Jay does.
No, stop. We do like different things and we both have different passions. And I feel like I have so much respect for you and what you do, because I could never do that.
And in the pre-COVID times, Andrea would be running around the day of a school dance, taking everybody's homecoming photos, prom photos. She's crazy.
I know. How do you like keep up with that schedule?
Dude, missed opportunities. Like missed so many missed opportunities because of COVID. Like I think what I'm really going to like, I know people are going to miss like, oh, not having the prom itself or not having like homecoming itself, but I think I'm just going to miss like pre-dance, because I genuinely found it so fun, like taking photos of people and just like running around, because I don't know, like even though sometimes like there may be bad experiences, it's just like fun because it's so like chaotic yet like organized at the same time, and you're just like being rushed, and I don't know, I feel like a little thrill.
Oh yeah, like the best memories of a dance day comes before the dance. And you're the one capturing those memories. So I feel like that's such a noble job. And like we all have you to thank for that.
Thank you. Aw.
Well, thank you guys for talking, and thank you to all the listeners for listening to today's episode of Troy Story. That's all. Tune in for the next episode. Bye.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye bye.